Hey, church family. I wanted to take this opportunity to present you with another word of encouragement as we prepare for January the 6th. Now, just to be clear, Congress is going to convene in a joint session on Wednesday, January the 6th. They're going to do this in order to count the electoral votes which have been cast by every state. Now, as Vice President Pence presides over this special session, he's going to begin to open and read the electoral votes cast by each state, and he's going to do this in alphabetical order. He'll begin with Alabama, and that's when we'll see that President Trump has secured 9 electoral votes. And then continuing down the list alphabetically, Trump will then receive 3 electoral votes from Alaska. And then Vice President Pence will open the votes from Arizona. And that's when things are going to get heated. And that's when things are going to start going off. And the reason why is due to the fact that Arizona is one of 7 states that has filed 2 opposing slates of electors. As a matter of fact, Arizona is actually joined by Georgia, Michigan, Nevada, New Mexico, Pennsylvania, and Wisconsin. Each of these states sent officially chosen electors who cast their vote for Joe Biden. But then the Republicans from these states also chose a dueling slate of electors who have cast their votes for President Trump, thereby actually canceling out in some ways the other slate of electors. Not only that, but listen, there are also going to be members of Congress who are then determined to make sure that the correct slate of electors are counted and the incorrect slate of electors are then cast out. And in order to understand the process that's about to take place there, it should be noted that the official certification of electoral votes can be challenged, providing that there's at least one representative from the House and one senator who are willing to object to the registration of a state's slate of electors. Here's how it's stated in the Electoral Count Act of 1887. Once a House member and a senator submit an objection, the 2 chambers of Congress separate to debate for 2 hours and to vote on whether to continue counting the votes in light of the objection. Both chambers must vote by a simple majority to concur with the objection for it to stand. Otherwise, the objection fails. In other words, when Vice President Pence reads off the official slate of electors from the 7 states that have offered us dueling slates of electors, that's when members of the House will have the opportunity to challenge the electoral votes. And if the objection from the House is then supported by a senator, that's when this 2-hour debate will begin. Now, with that being the case, we should expect that the January 6th session, it could be carried over for a day, 2 days, maybe even several days. And the reason why is because, we not only have 7 states with dueling slates of electors, but there's also a growing list of Republicans in the House who say that they're planning to voice their objection to the electors from those 7 states. And not only that, but there are currently 11 Senate Republicans who have already announced that they're ready to vote for the objection for the Electoral College vote as it stands. Those same senators are also encouraging a 10-day audit of the election results from those 7 states. And so we might not have an official certification of the 2020 election, until January the 17th. And while there are many in the mainstream media who are insisting that this is nothing more than treason, this is nothing more than sedition, it's important for every American to realize that, no, this is actually part of the election process. And it's not uncommon, for debate to break out there in this joint session of Congress. In order to prove my point, we only need to look as far back as 2004 and 2016. After both of those elections, there were Democrats in Congress who voiced their objections during the certification of electoral votes. Both times, Democrats in the House raised concerns about election integrity. For example, it was after the 2016 election, as Vice President Biden was reading the electoral votes, that's when House Democrats from at least 10 states objected to the votes that were being read. The reason for their objection? Well, it was based on their belief that the election had been rigged by the Russians. That's right, Democratic representatives in the House, they tried to overturn the electoral votes because they believed that Trump was guilty of colluding with the Russians in order to alter the outcome of the election. Clearly, those Democrats were concerned about election integrity. Unfortunately for them, though, they couldn't find a single senator to support their objections, and so it really didn't go anywhere. But regardless of the outcome, we should take a moment to ask, did the mainstream media accuse those representatives from the Democratic Party of sedition? Did they accuse them of attempting treason for trying to overturn the 2016 election? No. No, there was no accusation against those Democratic representatives in the House. And rather than being accused of wrongdoing, they were actually praised by members of the mainstream media, and their objections were celebrated by the leaders of their party for attempting to secure election integrity. Well, isn't that just what the Republicans are trying to do this time around? Aren't Republicans who are preparing now to present similar objections simply attempting to maintain election integrity? And if so, then why is the mainstream media now screaming sedition? What's up with the double standard here? And why are the same Democrats who made the same political moves back in January of 2017, why are those same Democrats now insisting that the Republican Party is attempting a coup with unconstitutional objections? This doesn't make any sense to me. If all of these people are concerned about election integrity, then they should all want to investigate all the strange things that surround this last election. And why are they accusing Republicans in Congress of doing something wrong when they themselves did the same exact thing after the 2016 election? Now, as we wait to see how all of this is going to unfold, I encourage every Christian just to remember that the Lord is the one who removes rulers. He's the one who raises them up. Paul confirmed this in Romans 13 by assuring us of the fact that there's no authority except from God, and the authorities that exist are appointed by God. And with that being the case, listen, if the current electoral votes are overturned and Trump officially wins this election, well, then we should accept the results as being the will of God. And if Joe Biden is officially certified as the next president of the United States of America, well, then we should accept the results as being the will of God. Christian, listen, we don't know why God raises up the rulers that he raises up. We don't know why he brings them down when he brings them down. But what we do know is that he already knows the end from the beginning. He knows who he needs to place in positions of power to accomplish his perfect plan. And we know that he works all of these things together for the good of those who love Jesus and those who are called according to his purpose. And so we can just relax and know that God is in control regardless of what happens over this next week. Regardless of what happens this Wednesday, regardless of what happens over the next 4 years, my encouragement to you remains the same because listen, regardless of who is in the White House, every Christian has been called to continue fighting the good fight of faith, all for the glory of God.